and we try to keep them long-term to create a cash flow. So it could be as low as 2 years. You know, typically we like to go for 5 years, but depends on your needs too. It has to make sense for yourself. But when you think,
yeah, I mean, I could do that. Can you pay me $2,000 a month?
would the home rent for that much?
I don't know. I don't know how much homes rent for.
How much do you think homes in that area would rent for?
I don't know. A 3-2, you could probably get 2,200 for this house.
Okay, awesome. So if I was to get you your asking price and pay you $2,200 a month for, let's say, 24 months, and then cash you out in full without any real estate commission, would you consider that?
Yeah, where do I sign?
Awesome. I'll get you the paperwork. I'll get you some information, and I'll go over the agreement with you. I'd like to actually come take a look at the house.
Yeah, can you come over anytime soon?
Half hour?
Yeah, half hour work for me. You can come over with an agreement. We could add, that would work for me.
There you go. So if everything looks good, we can sign when I get there.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Sal. I appreciate you calling me. You've been the
Awesome.
best one to work with.
Thank you. Talk to you
All
soon.
right. Bye. Boom. Good job, Sal.
You kind of try to put me in a box where you want full. Well, these role plays are great because it makes you think outside the box. But you were trying to get me. I want all cash. I want all cash, and you're like, I'm not really interested in selling right now. But see how I kept on going back to.
You did a good job of asking for the appraisal and what people are offering me.
Because you said Zillow wants. I said, well, sometimes Zillow's right, sometimes not. And I always have that. Listen. I was reading exactly what I was asking you. Right down to the question, because you were trying to get me off my game. And every time she was asking me something, I went right back to it. It's the same 10 questions right here. And then after, even though she didn't tell me that, I said, right here, great. We work with houses just like yours. And I actually stumped you, Caroline, because you were trying to get cash on it. And then I said, but if we were to get you close to what you actually wanted, would you consider being open to taking, selling other than all cash or conventional? And you're like, what does that mean? Right here it says, if they say yes, or what does that mean? You go to the next question. I already set you up for what does that mean? Because I knew you didn't know what that meant. And then I said, if we would you consider taking monthly payments for a short time until we pay you in full? And you're like, wow, yeah, I would consider that. I don't know how long short term is. That's after I got you to commit. And then I come to the house, I took a look at it. Well, you know what? This house needs a little bit of work. I might need 3 years. I might need 4 years. I didn't say what short term was. Short term could be 6 months. It could be 3 years. But he got you to thinking, listen, like you said, if you said, no, I'm not considering it. I need the money to buy the next house. And then you got to go really back up to the questions and get the pain out of them. I understand you need the money. I have a lot of people where it said, they're moving to Florida. And I said, well, do you have a house in Florida yet? No. I said, well, would you consider renting for a year maybe? And, you might not know the area that you like. So you don't need the money right now. You might be renting. So what are you going to do with the $100,000? Sit in the bank? So there's a lot of different ways, but could this be a sub 2? Possibly. I don't know if I told you it was a lease option or not. I could,
You didn't.
Right. So I can get there and then discuss taking over your payments and then paying you a little bit of your equity. But you actually said, yeah, I would just take $2,200 payments for now. So to me, I would take $2,200 minus your PITI and try to figure out if that was your equity payment. So let's just say it was $1,200 additional. Well, that $1,200 on a sub 2, I would just take that principal $438 and bring it down. But most likely a person like you wouldn't sub 2 me the house. There's a possibility I can, because you have no pain. You're not ready. You don't really care. If I get my price, doesn't matter. Sub 2s are people like, listen, I haven't worked. I might not be able to make my mortgage next month, or I'm moving to Texas and I need to get out of this house and I don't want to do this. And the balance is really high. So you have to be careful with sub 2s. You were not really a sub 2 candidate, but I can maybe still work you once I get to the house.
So Sal, what do you think at the beginning when I told you I was from a lien list? You didn't bring up any liens or anything. Do you think you would have dug deeper after you met me in person, or where would you have gone?
I would have probably asked for the liens later because I
Okay.
was, you said you owed 203. And a lot of times if you owe liens, you would tell me. And here's another thing. Does it really matter if you have a lien or not? Unless I'm buying this thing sub 2. And if I'm buying it sub 2, I would find out there was a lien. And once I find out there's a lien, the numbers change.
Mm-hmm.
So if you said, yeah, I want 438 and I owe 203 on the mortgage, and I said, I'll give you 438 and I'm making you payments. If you owe $100,000 lien, right? So you don't owe 203 no more. Now you owe 303.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. I still owe you 100,000. It doesn't matter if you have $200,000 liens. And I mean, unless the lien has payment plan. If the lien is dormant and I'm not making payments to a lien, the lien's not coming out of my pocket, it's coming out of your pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said you want 438, you owe 200, that means you get 238. If you have 200,000 in liens, at the end when I close, you're not getting 238, you're only getting 38.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it doesn't matter if you had a lien or not. Lien's not coming out of my pocket, it's coming out of your pocket, right? You said you want 438, you owe 200.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Did anybody have any questions? What do you guys think about Sal?
Your use of labeling the pain, reversing was like top notch, bro. I just kept like noticing that. You're on mute.
My bad, Sal.
She didn't even have pain though. It was hard to get pain out of her because she didn't have no pain.
I know, but just the way you just kept deflecting her questions towards you, like why do you know? Why do you need to know my payments? You kept probing for more information. You kept labeling. Well, there's a little bit of pain. She didn't get any. No, what is it for 9 months?
I made pain. I'm like,
Yeah.
so you really don't care, but how long you been trying to sell? Oh,
Yep.
9 months. So you're asking for 438, but nobody's made you an offer. And then I said, well, why don't you just list this with a realtor? What would a realtor ask for it? And she said 400. I said, so you're asking a lot more than what a realtor can, and kind of put her back into reality. But listen, and a lease option or a sub 2, we're willing to give them what they basically want. I mean, if she wants 438 and we can keep this for 10, 15, 20 years, I mean, that 438 house is going to be worth 5 something in 10 years. So as long as the cash flow made sense.
Sal, did it bother you that her monthly payment was like around 800, and she's saying that it could possibly rent for about 22? Because she was asking at first 2,000, then she said it could rent for 22, and then you told her you'd give her 22.
Yeah, until I said I would have to see what the rent rate and what the area is going for.
Gotcha.
But I'm not going to argue with the seller. Seller wants 2,200. So think about this. You're selling a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're in New York, you're selling a house, someone calls you up and your PITI is 800. And someone says, would you take payments for your house? And you say, yeah, I'll take payments for my, all right, hey, Marlon, I'll give you the 875 payment. You're like, what? House is, I get $2,000 rents. Why would I give you $800? Why would I allow you to give me $800 payment when I can get a renter in here for 2,200? So you're basically giving them. So now when I get to the house, either the subject to or the lease option, I say, great, I'll give you the 2,200. Obviously, if I can get more, but I would want a credit back from that 2,200. I would take, $500 credit back. And so, I'll give her the 22, but I'm getting a credit back. And if I can rent it for 23, 24, I'm cash flowing there also.
Sal, could you break that down though? Because I know for a lot of people, when you say credit back, their minds are like, what the hell does he mean? What the hell is a credit back?
Well, if you take the house subject to, you're getting $1,200 credit back, right? Sub 2, she wants $2,200 payment.
You say credit back, their minds are like, what the hell does he mean? What the hell is a credit back?
Well, if you take the house subject,
Mute everybody when they come in here.
Guys, please do not unmute unless you're up for a role play.
okay, so Caroline wanted $2,200 payment. She only has $800 PITI. So if I take this thing subject to, am I not getting a credit back? Yeah, because I'm making her a $1,200 a month payment.
Got you. Okay.
So she wants 438, and let's say we did a 5-year balloon. That's what 1,200.
I would not want a 5-year balloon on something like that.
No, I'm just saying $1,200 times 5 was 60 months. So 1,200 times 60, that's $72,000 principal pay down I just got. Just $72,000 principal pay down. I bought the house for 438. I just paid down 72,000 because she wants 2,200. Well, guess what? I'll give her the 2,200, but out of the 2,200, 800 goes to the mortgage, 1,200 goes to her. So I'm making her a $1,200 equity payment on a sub 2. On a lease option, I try to do the same thing, but a lot of times with a lease option, they're like, well, you don't even own the house yet, and you want $1,200 principal pay down. And then I try to say, okay, well, typically we get, $500 principal pay down or something like that, or credit back. A credit back would be for a lease option, principal pay down on a sub 2.
Nice.
I hope I didn't confuse anybody. Did anybody want me to repeat that?
Guys, if anyone has any question about that, just throw it in the chat.
That's
You
essentially a hybrid at that point too. So yeah, because you're in the sub 2 and then you're paying for equity. Yeah, so that's a hybrid there. But yeah, no, it makes total sense. Sal, you're if no one's hitting up Sal for like information on deals, like hit him up for deals. Like
Okay, I want to say one thing, Will, for you guys. I haven't been on any of your role playing. I know you guys do it early in the morning. You need a script. I don't care what it is. And the scripts, that's why, Caroline, I asked you, is it a for sale by or expired? This is a for sale by owner expired script. If I was to do a foreclosure script, I change the verbiage a little bit based on their pain points of because they're behind. I noticed that you're behind, how much are you behind, stuff like that. I don't have it on this one, but it depends on the lead that you call. And I don't care how bad you were trying to get me off. I kept on going right back to the same thing. Does that, you telling me, does the house needs repairs? And then over here it said the reason for selling. Why are you selling? I kept on asking you, why are you selling? I don't really need to sell. Okay. Then I said, well, if you don't need to sell, then why did you've been trying to sell for 9 months? Oh, I want the I want top price. And then my question is, if I can get you your full asking price, right? You told me you want full asking price. And then I said, if I can get you the full asking price, would you consider it? And you said, yeah, I would. So I used all your words just by going off my sheet. And if you don't have this sheet in front of you, I don't care how good of a role player you are, you will forget to ask a question because that person is going to throw you off automatically. Automatically, they will throw you off your game. And that's why role playing, Marlon, you're doing a great job with everybody because role playing helps by getting back on track to what you need to do. Because that's what role playing does. It memory muscles your head, your brain to not get off of track. But this helps all the time.
Big time.
Sal, we've had a lot of people asking, where did you get that script from? Is it part of the sub 2 mentorship or did you make that up yourself?
I made it up myself. I had it from other stuff, other mentors. I rearranged it a lot to what.
Would you be willing to post that in the sub 2 page, please?
In the sub 2, like
The private one?
In the Facebook?
Yeah.
I could. I think I have. Haven't I done that, guys? Months
I don't
back?
know. But now you're a celebrity and everybody's seen you. Can you repost it for all the?
Listen, the reason why is because Pace gears sub 2. I do more lease options. So I don't want to teach people things that Pace is not. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't think I did it in a sub 2. I think I only did it for the New York people.
Nobody
We
said
did it in our accountability group. So guys, I mean, if you really think that would be something useful, reach out to Sal directly, have a conversation.
Yeah, do it directly because I don't want to listen. The things I say and do, I don't want to start getting, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you don't overcomplicate it. We get it.
I don't want to tell Pace, oh, I'm teaching everybody lease options when he's teaching sub 2s.
Well, appreciate it.
But it can go, it's just an opening thing. I think it can work for a sub 2 because it doesn't really talk about lease options. It just says, would you consider payments? So if you want it, send me an email, no doubt.
Awesome.
Or a Slack or something.
Can you put your email in the chat?
Sure.
All right.
All right. Next up, we're gonna get Shy going up against Caroline.
All right. And so for this one, Shy, I want you to, and this is for everybody, you know, the thing that I kind of preach about and what Pace has told me. Do you guys know, and I'll let you answer this, Shy, since you're unmuted. What is like, how do you get deals done?
We get deals done by talking to motivated sellers consistently.
And having quality conversations with motivated sellers. Yeah. So
Yes, there we go. Quality
there you
conversations.
got it. So that's the secret sauce to this business, guys, having quality conversations with motivated sellers. So Shay, I want you to see if I'm a motivated seller here, okay?
Okay.
All right. Qualify me or disqualify me. You ready?
Ready, let's set. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, Caroline, this is Shy. How you doing today?
Hi, Shy. I'm good. Who are you?
My name is Shy. My assistant spoke with you not too long ago and just informed me that you were interested in selling your home. Did I catch you at a good time?
Sure. Is this going to be quick or is this going to be, are you going to do the same thing that everybody else does?
What is everyone else doing?
Oh, they ask me what my roof is like, what my air conditioning's like, and they never give me a number. Are you going to, give me an offer or are you just going to make me tell you about my roof and my air conditioning?
Really and truly, the condition of the property is irrelevant right now. When are you thinking you would be ready to sell?
Well, I'd be ready to sell if I had the right number, if somebody's willing to give me what I'm asking for.
Okay, are you currently living in a property?
Yeah, this is my house.
Okay. Did you have a place in mind of where you will be moving to?
Yeah, I can move in with my sister if you sell this. I mean, if you buy
Okay,
this from me
cool.
and I sell it.
All right, that sounds good. What about packing, packing up and stuff? Like, how long do you think that would take you?
Oh, probably maybe a week at most. Wouldn't take me long.
Okay, cool. That sounds
I live by
good.
myself. Yeah, I just have to move my 2 dogs.
Okay. Oh, 2 doggies. My son is begging for a dog, but I'm not ready for that commitment yet.
Yeah, they're a lot. That's for sure.
All right, cool. So you're looking to sell as soon as you can. You said it's going to take you about 2 weeks to move, which is good. That means we can probably allocate our funds for your property for this month. So you're definitely looking to move before the new year then.
Well, no, I'm not looking to move. I'm just saying I can move in 2 weeks. I probably wouldn't want to move until like April.
Okay, so all right. So if I was allocating funds to set aside to buy this property, would I be allocating that for my April budget or now?
Probably April budget. Yeah, because I don't want to move during the holidays.
Okay, yeah, I
then,
understand that.
then we're gonna have a new president, and I think we're gonna be on lockdown again. So yeah, I don't think I'd be ready to move until I know whatever this big liberal Joe Biden does. You know how these liberals work.
Yeah, that things flip
Mhm.
all the time, but hopefully in both of
Yeah.
our favors. All right, so April. Okay, so again, yeah, so this wasn't gonna take too long then. The property, conditions, I'm quite sure isn't gonna change much between now and April. So how about this, Caroline? I'm gonna give you a call back sometime after the new year, just to
Okay.
see if you're still on board with selling.
Okay.
And then we can start working out the details. Maybe on our next phone call sometime in January. And then we'll get all of the numbers worked out for everything in April. How's that sound?
You know what, Shy? You're the first person that's been a straight shooter with me, so I'm actually gonna save your phone number, and I appreciate you telling me all this.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, if you're not looking to do anything to April, I mean, the details of everything is pretty much irrelevant right now, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Nobody else has told me that. They just keep wanting to know what my price is right now, and they didn't even ask me when I wanted to move. So, wow, thanks, Shy.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. All right, Caroline. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the holidays with your family. And you enjoy your new year, and we'll be in touch right after the new year, okay?
Perfect. Well, thanks, Shy. I hope you have a good Christmas too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was some good stuff, Shy.
Yo, good job. So hopefully you guys are all seeing she's disqualifying people. Shy, why are you muting yourself? We need you here to talk, girl. All right. So you want to disqualify.
Over. I'm done.
Oh yeah, I was trying to. It muted me, and then it said the host wouldn't allow me to unmute myself.
Oh, no, we got you. We got you.
Okay.
Well, Shy, how do you feel after that conversation?
Great. That's honestly what I've been doing with my sellers. Thanks, Caroline, for the tip. It's helping me again have those quality conversations with motivated sellers. It's not that the sellers aren't motivated to sell, it's a matter of their timeline. So if you say that you're not motivated till April, I don't need to spend too much time on you right now in December. So it's great.
Awesome. Yeah.
So guys, keep that in mind. Like, be upfront with them, be honest with them, let them know, hey, you're not in the timeline. You're looking for people that are in a timeline of 30 to 90 days, right? If she's outside of that timeline, this conversation is way too early. Nothing's going to change that. You're not trying to convince somebody to get out of their house tomorrow. You let them work on their time. The same way Sal doesn't argue with these people. Don't argue with them and convince them they want to sell earlier. Figure out what they're looking to do and then be a service provider for them at that point in time. All right. So let's get another call going. Let's throw our man Will. We're gonna have you be a buyer. I'm sorry, a seller, and then let's get someone new we haven't ever heard from. Minerva. Hey Minerva, you up there? I'm gonna unmute you.
If she's not, I say throw Gary in there.
All right, when I get Minerva unmuted.
What's up, Sal? Sal's waving his hand. What you got, Sal?
Oh, let's see. Let's get Sal unmuted. All right, guys, we're gonna allow you to unmute yourself for a little bit, but if you guys keep unmuting yourself.
Hey guys, give me about, I'm happy to jump in on a call, but give me about 5-10 minutes.
You're good. We'll keep you out of here for now. What's up, Sal? Sal, I think you can unmute.
Hey, there you go. Just I want to follow up one last thing with not letting them go till April, May, March, or whatever it is. It doesn't mean that you have to let them go till then to follow up. If you dig deep a little bit, you can say, why don't we start the process? Basically, let's do the numbers and see if it makes sense, because what happens is I can start marketing the house. So when it's time for you to move in March, we already have the game plan by then. So you have to teeter-totter that. You have to be careful that you don't over push Caroline. And she's like, you're rushing me too much. But you also say, you know what? I actually say, oh, that's actually excellent. You want to move in March. But you know what? We could actually start the process now, because by then I will already have the house sold and put a buyer in there. So it will give you, remember, when you get a contract, you want 30, 60, 90 days, right? Sometimes you put contingencies in there. Well, guess what? March is already a contingency. You already have from now to March. That's your contingency. You have 3 months to do this before the contract even started. So if we can get this going, maybe I can market it a little bit. Maybe put just a one little page agreement on it, non-exclusive. Let me see if just give me permission to start marketing. Maybe I'll find a buyer for you by March. So don't let, you could just do an option agreement with a non-exclusive type thing. Say, let me just put it out there. Let me get some feelers, because maybe by March, we don't have to wait. We could already get you what you want. And because if we put it in March, what if we don't get somebody till April, May, June? Now what? Now we got to start the clock in March? Okay, we can start the clock now. We don't have to get you out of the house, but maybe I can get you a buyer by then. But you got to play yourself easily on that, because you don't want them to say, you know what, I got too much going on. Okay, you know what? Then you back off. And you say, okay, let's call back in March. But you know what, Caroline, with your permission, I might start putting some feelers out there. Is that okay? You know what I mean? And you might say, yeah, do that. That's great. If not, let's just wait till March.
Perfect. Thanks, Sal. What do you think about that, Oscar? I want to hear what Oscar thinks.
Hey.
What's up, Oscar? How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
I'm coming over later for food.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, come over right now.
I listened to his podcast with Marlon, so I had to get that in.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with Sal. As long as we're being transparent and everything. I mean, I'm actually in the middle of a wholesale right now where the niece is still in the house, and he does want to sell, but the niece doesn't want to move out until like January, February. So we're like, okay, well, let's sign the contract first, and then we'll try. So right now we're working with the niece, saying, well, what's the issue? We're not moving out and everything like that. So we're trying to get that out, but we can't close until obviously the niece moves out. So we're just wording the contract that way, and he understands. So, but it gives us an opportunity to just slowly market and find the right buyer for it. So.
And
Oh.
what would you two both say about like potentially the market like changing or prices jumping or going down? Does that matter to you if you lock it up at this price?
I mean, I think we got it locked up at a good price. So, you know, it shouldn't, I mean, unless it's like a year from now, you know, so, I mean, we're talking about like 2 months here. So, depending on where it's still depending on the region, right? But if it's like 2 months, you should be still okay, you know, and then, you know, if something were to happen, you know, there's, you know, we put it in the wholesale contract, right? So basically it's not a non-refundable EMD, right? So we still have this inspection period or whatever we put in addendum that, you know, it's still contingent of the tenant moving out, you know, but it doesn't prevent us from not able to market this to our partners, not able to, I mean, we've already have boots on the ground, come and see the house because this is somewhere in Maryland, right? So we're already talking and we're not hiding things. We're just saying like, well, we can't close until, you know, she moves out. Yeah, so.
And what are you doing? Are you just saying a really far off closing date?
Yeah. I mean, well, we actually put in like closing days TBD when. So what we do is we put in like right now is TBD on the niece moving out. So when the niece gives us a timeline when she's moving out, we're gonna put an addendum saying the closing date should be, you know, 2 weeks after she moves out or 3 weeks after she moves out, pending all condition after she moves out.
Excellent. And they're still responsible for making mortgage payments, or is it free and clear?
Oh, this one is actually free and clear. Yeah. So, and the problem is the niece is not even paying rent. So he does want him to move out, or he just wants the niece to move out. So
For Sal and Oscar, if somebody like say I had said I wasn't looking to sell for like 8 months, would you? So that's further out than 2 months. Would that differentiate your price then there, or are you just going to kind of keep me? Are you going to start shopping it around to buyers? What would you both do in that scenario?
I don't know about Sal. I haven't had anything that far out, like 8 months. But if I were to have a contract that extend that long, I would have an addendum saying, you know, price might change, you know, close to like 30 days before, you know, there's a closing date, or 60 days before closing date, you know. And again, if you do need to put EMD down, either like 250, 500, make sure it's refundable.
Exactly. I mean, listen, why is it 8 months? You know what I mean? Remember, it depends on the type of lead, right? Are we calling these equity leads like the no excuse where the people never had intentions of selling, but we're making them sell? So if we call them up and say, hi, you know, would you ever consider selling your house? They said, oh, yes, I would in 8 months. Remember, that's a lead that the person never intended to sell. We call them. Now, if you're calling a FSBO or an expired, their intention was to sell in the past. So they really wouldn't be 8 months out unless something changed.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference. It depends on the lead that you get. So your scenario, I mean, I never heard of 8 months out unless, unless the guy said, oh, you know what, my job situation changed and I think in 8 months I have to move. And then you say, well, great, then let's, maybe I'll call you in a couple months. Let's get some numbers going. And maybe I can start marketing this house earlier than we wanted to.
So the only time I've encountered that, I do encounter it a lot, Caroline, is that it's tired landlord, right, with tenants in it. I have 2 that I've been working on for the past 4 months now, you know, and the landlord's like, okay, it's an older lady, it's a month-to-month, but with COVID and everything, she's still paying, but this doesn't let me in. And, you know, I'll find you a right time where we can come in and look at the house, because I haven't been looking at the house for like 2 years, you know. So this is the only type where, you know, this could drag to 4, 5, 6 months because of month-to-month tenant, right? And because of COVID and everything, these tenants usually they still pay, but they don't let them in as easy, right? And then the fact that, you know, they don't want the tenant to know that they're trying to sell the house, because at that point, especially in Illinois, they can start, well, screw you, I'm not going to pay now, which happens before, you know. So that's the hard part. It's different than Indiana or different than Florida. You know, it's different from each state, right? For Illinois, they're very hush hush. They don't want, you know, I would usually go in as a contractor. You know, they would say, oh, you just want to see the condition of the furnace, blah, 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 and everything like that. And we just come in one day, take pictures and go out, right? Until we're ready to close. And we take over the tenant.
Good call.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys answering those questions. Gary, are you ready yet? You can just nod your head. You ready?
Yeah, I could be. I was kind of having my coffee, but look, I have a confession to make. I've been stalking you guys because I've been trying to improve our own role play in our accountability group. So I thought you guys were crushing it. And the Northeast, that the morning sessions have been awesome. So I've kind of adopted ours and they got better because of it. So thank you.
Glad to hear it. Good. Yeah. The only way, the biggest thing I've seen from, because I just jumped into the role playing a couple weeks ago, is I'm just bringing in the sellers that I hear on the phone when I'm calling, because I'm doing a bunch of dials a day for no excuses. So every time you guys hear me as a seller, it's something I've dealt with on the phone. So I'm trying to give you guys real life experiences. We can't just lay down for one another and be like, oh yeah, I love sub too. You can take over my mortgage, because that's not the case. Every time you talk to a seller, they're gonna be like, who, you want to take over my mortgage and keep it in my name? No. So the more realistic this is, the better that we can get as a community. So I think that's the biggest part of role playing. And then, Marlon and Will following up with the questions and how did you guys feel? And I know my first time doing a role play, it was a role play, but I was sweating bullets. I was so nervous. Like I didn't, and I cared what everybody thought. I was like, gosh, I'm gonna look like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so bad at this, but this is a safe environment. This is a way to get better. So I think all role playing can do is make all of us better, and we'll be master closers in no time.
Well, I especially picked up on that, what you were doing. And so I think adding that structure of, okay, you're dealing with Geraldine, she's 68, her husband died, she's got a 3-2, so setting the stage with that kind of framework has really helped. Because then people can get into character and it just doesn't wander all over the place like a serpent looking for a little mouse. It's just so I think that adding that element of structure is really important.
Big time. So we got Jermaine saying he's good to be a seller. So it sounds like he has a situation already that he's working with. So Jermaine, you there?
I'm here.
All right. So we can have Jermaine as a seller, and then we can have still want to get you, Gary, on as a buyer. You cool with that?
Sure.
Awesome. So Jermaine, you want to give us any minor details about the property? Anything relevant?
So details about the property and the situation is that the seller is in Florida and she has a property here in San Antonio, and she had it listed with the realtor, but for some reason the realtor canceled the contract, but there's still a lockbox on it. And so she's trying to, she's thinking about selling it now. She's just trying to get over things like subject to, and like she want to talk to her attorney and things like that.
Okay.
Have you already had a call? Is this the first call we're having, or?
Yeah, this can be the first call.
Because I wouldn't know that she was going to talk.
It sounds like a follow-up call.
Yeah, it sounds like a follow-up call, but it's kind of hard to pick up in the relationship. You don't know where, you want to create a relationship with somebody.
I guess I was kind of like thinking of just like, just kind of role playing like the initial call.
Okay.
Just,
So you're going to be this lady. What's the property? It's in San Antonio. It's what are the no? I mean, you always go into a call knowing what something about the property, right?
Yeah. What's ARV? So this is your first time calling him. You already had your assistant set this up. So give us what we know ARV is and what the seller's asking, and then we'll let Gary figure out the rest on the call.
Okay, ARV, 250,000, and we hadn't talked about numbers yet. We're just getting over like basic.
What does she have it listed for when she had it listed?
She had it listed for 245.
Okay.
So she must not be worth ARV at this point, if the broker couldn't sell it. So, and what's her name?
Is Sharon.
Sharon. Okay, you're going to be Sharon. You're going to be a good Sharon, Jermaine.
Just call me her name.
Okay, ring.
Or you just call me Jermaine.
Jermaine, you guys got 7 minutes on the clock. You ready?
Ready.
Bring
How
away.
many minutes? How many minutes?
7.
7.
7
Okay, you guys are doing 7. Cool. Oh, we were doing 10. Maybe I'll
We're
shorten.
keeping it short. Let's get through these calls. 7 minutes and go.
Okay, go. Hello. Is this Jermaine?
Yes, this is he.
How are you, Jermaine? I understand, my name's Gary. I understand that you're looking to sell your house in San Antonio. My associate mentioned that you are interested in moving that property. Is that the case?
Yes, I've been thinking about it because I'm in Florida right now. The property is in San Antonio, and I had it listed with the realtor, and then within about 2 months, for some reason, the realtor canceled the contract. I don't know why. And I'm looking to possibly sell it if I can get the right price, because I've been paying a lot of money every month on it, and it's just a liability for me right now. It's not generating any cash flow, and I can't depend on a realtor. They basically put me under a contract. They begged me to list with them, and they're not really doing anything right now. And
So
then they
that's
canceled.
that's really unusual. Did the realtor say anything to you when they canceled the listing?
We did have a conversation, but I didn't know they were going to cancel.
Did they have any showings of the property? Do you know of?
I don't even think they even showed the property to anybody.
Wow, that's really unusual. Usually the realtors are so eager to get listings that it's crazy. I've never heard of that before. Would you mind if I called your realtor and check, was it a he or a she? What's the name of the realtor?
It's Tom Jones. I mean, you can call him, but I don't know if he would be helpful because the contract is expired, and I'm looking to go into another direction.
The contract expired?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was canceled.
They canceled it. How did they cancel it? They cancel it in writing?
Um, it was in writing.
So you got a letter from the real estate agent, they were canceling the listing?
Hmm.
Did they remove the lockbox from the property?
The lockbox is still there, and I have a code. If you'd like to take a look at it, if the numbers make sense.
Well, I might have an associate look at it, but I'd like to understand more about what's going on with this property. You live in Florida and the property's in San Antonio. How long did you own the property?
I've owned the property for 20 years, and I have a balance of about $7,000.
On a mortgage?
And everything's been updated except for the kitchen countertops are not updated, and it needs carpet in the living room, and it also needs 2 new windows. Other than that, everything's perfectly fine.
Was this a rental property for you, Jermaine?
Well, I used to live in a property,
Ah,
and then I moved to Florida for my job. I moved to Orlando.
oh, okay. When did that happen?
This happened about 9 months ago.
So how long was the property listed with the agent?
It was listed. It was supposed to be listed for 6 months, but it was only actually listed for 2 months because he wanted to cancel.
And he didn't give you a reason for wanting to cancel the listing?
No,
Well, I'd like to get that number for, what did you say his name was, Tom?
uh-huh.
I'd just like to have a call with him because I just want to make sure that there's nothing funny going on there just to benefit you. I'm not sure that I'm the right buyer for your property, but that just sounds so suspicious to me that I think we should get to the bottom of it. If he didn't give you a reason, we should get a good reason from him because that could help inform your decision-making process going forward, don't you think?
Um, I don't know how helpful that would be. I'm just looking to sell it soon because I'm tired of paying a mortgage on it. I
So
mean,
what's your current mortgage payment?
My current payment is 1125.
So that's gonna, and there's only a $9,000 balance,
There, I owe about just a little over 7,000.
7,000. So that means that that mortgage is gonna, and you said you've owned it for 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
So is it a 20-year mortgage, or did you just pay down the 30-year fast?
I paid down a 30-year fast.
So it would seem as though your mortgage is going to be paid in the next 7 months, correct?
Right, absolutely.
Right. So you're pretty close to being 100% equity on that. Did you have any discussions with the broker about pricing?
Well, he ran some comps for me and told me how much it was worth and everything.
What kind of numbers did he give you?
ARV right at 250,000 for that neighborhood.
Or
And
did he give you a price? What price did you list it at?
I listed it at 245 because it needed a few repairs.
So you're estimating the repairs are $5,000?
Mm-hmm.
3 windows, carpeting, how much carpeting?
Just the living room.
All right, so let me ask you this, what do you, are you, how, what do you need to get out of the house in order to sell it quickly? If I could find a buyer that was ready to move really quickly.
I want to at least be able to get 240,000, or otherwise I'll just give it to my son or keep it.
Okay, so if I could find a buyer for you at 240, you're ready to move and move on the property. Is the property cleared out? Is it empty?
It's empty. Are you going to be able to do all cash?
I have no idea. I mean, you know, I'm not, I don't know if I'm the right buyer, but if I'm not, I want to find you the right buyer. So I just want to get the parameters done. I want to have somebody look at the house, and you said that's, I can get a code if I want someone to go look at it.
Okay. Well, I
Fine.
want to
Good
get
stuff,
cash.
guys. Time. There we go. How did you feel about
Well-
that, Gary? Did you feel good about that call?
I felt like I was working on qualifying them. I was trying to get to the bottom of what this spooky, weird problem is. I think I need to talk to the realtor to fully understand what's going on here, because Jermaine wasn't being forthcoming. Trying to unlock the, to me, how many of you ever met a broker who cancels a listing after 2 months? Either that seller has been a little monster, or the realtor, not too many realtors give up a listing. That's all I'm saying. So I really want to get to the bottom of that to understand what the problem is. Like there's this big sinkhole in the backyard that Jermaine's not telling me about, or
Yeah,
something.
possibility.
There's something going on there that.
What would you say, Sal? You just raised your hand. You had somebody cancel a listing after 2 months.
I've talked to people, sure. I mean, basically it comes down to the script, right? Gary, you did a good job because you're talking and you're taking action. But I don't care what that damn realtor did. Doesn't matter to me. I'm asking them, what do you want for the house? How much are your payments? What can I do to get you out of the house? Basically, Jermaine was telling you, I want to sell the house. I just want to get out of this thing. And you can't worry about what the realtor did, because in the question it says, did you have the house listed with a realtor? Yes, it got canceled. What was the reason? I don't know. Okay, we'll find that out later. Let's
Right.
go through the numbers. Let's see if there's something I can do. And the other thing is, are you selling it for Jermaine or are you buying it from Jermaine? Because you said, well,
I don't know. I don't know what the value of the house is. That's what I need.
no, I understand that, but you were saying that I can get you a buyer. I could find you a buyer. Well, you're the buyer. You're going to put a different person in there, but you are the buyer, right? You're
Maybe.
buying it from Jermaine. So
Maybe I'm the buyer.
no, you are the buyer. You are the buyer. Sorry, I got people in the background.
All good.
You are the buyer. but you are putting another buyer in there, yes. But you were saying, I can find you a buyer. Jermaine doesn't want you to find him a buyer. He wants you to buy it. After you assign it, yes, there's another buyer in it or something, but just get the numbers. Just
Sal,
get
you're
the-
making the assumption that this is a wholesale call. That's what you do, right? Wholesale?
No,
No.
he says, take over my pay. He didn't tell you anything. He just says, what can you do for me?
$7,000 left on the mortgage. Yeah,
You-
we could do a sub-2 on $7,000 worth of 7 payments worth of mortgage, but that, it sounded like he was at full retail.
He didn't ask you for down payment. He didn't ask you for anything.
No, and
He
I
just-
didn't get to talk to him about terms yet. So
Correct. That's okay. That's okay. You just say, Jermaine, what do you need out of the house? I want to get paid in full. I want payments. You might pay him 7,000 entry fee and then take this thing over owner financing, and not even have to worry about sub-2. So there's a lot of different ways. You might say, you know what, I can make your little payment. I don't know. It was you did catch him though. He had like a $1,200 payment with a $7,000 balance, but it's okay. You need to figure out what you can buy this for, even if you're not the buyer. It doesn't matter. When he was saying, I just want to sell it, and you said, well, maybe I could find you a buyer. He's going to be like, you know what? I'll just relist this with someone else if you're going to do the same thing. He should have said, why, do you have a real estate license? And you would have said, no. Then how the hell are you going to find me a buyer if you're not a realtor?
well, I have a lot of investors that I work with that may or may not want to buy that, even if I'm not the right buyer for it.
It's okay. I mean, listen, just go through, have a script in front of you, Gary. Have a script of questions that you want to ask. And on there, one of my questions is, so you had the house listed with a realtor. What was the feedback from the realtor on why it didn't sell? I like to ask that. And Caroline, I didn't ask you that because I actually asked you, do you have it listed with a realtor? You said no. So that question would be out. So
Well, I think I did ask that question.
and
Sal.
he's no, you did. It was good.
Yeah.
And he said he doesn't know. The guy just canceled it for no reason. And you say, fine, all right, hell with him. I would have said, his loss. Let's see what the numbers are for me. I don't care what he did.
So the difference between you and me is I'm not buying that. So that sets off to me an alarm bell that I need to go investigate.
Yeah, but what do you mean you're not buying it, Gary?
I'm not buying that the realtor just canceled on him and didn't give him a reason.
Okay, but it doesn't matter what
You're saying to me it doesn't, but to me, I believe that that's a red flag, and I want to.
Okay.
There's no way I'm
yeah.
going to go in for the close on a call like that.
No, you're okay. So you don't go over numbers. You don't talk to them about anything.
Oh, I would set up the next call before I did that.
Well, what if you get a hold of this? You get a hold of the realtor, and the realtor says, you know what? I found a construction job. I hate being a realtor. That's why I canceled.
Well, that would explain it, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but
And that would.
but what I'm trying to say is,
That would erase the red flag I have.
I
I
understand
don't
that.
want to spend too much time on this one in particular, but going forward though, something like this, would be curious to see a little bit more about the pain with Jermaine here of why the property didn't sell, or even just getting to know if any offers were put in before the realtor went MIA, just kind of get a sense of maybe what had been offered. So, hey, had you been getting any offers? Was anything coming in? Did you get 0 offers, or were you just getting lowball cash offers? Get a sense of where he's been at and what other people have been talking to him. That way it could kind of help guide the conversation to see, okay, well, why haven't you accepted any of the other offers?
That's a good point. And I don't buy properties that are outside my geographic striking zone. So
Got you.
anyway, personally, that's.
Okay. All right, awesome. So I think we're gonna grab on to the next call here. We got
Yeah, we're gonna have Victor
yep.
and Creighton. I want to get Creighton on there.
Yo, let's get Creighton as a buyer. I haven't heard Creighton as a buyer since like June.
Creighton, you got the little
Ready?
one asleep or busy, or how's that going?
Hey, what's up, guys? First of all, this is awesome. Like, you guys are killing it here. I'm eating some tofu scramble, and we're actually just getting ready to take off to go to the mall.
So you have 7 minutes to be a seller or a buyer. Awesome.
Sure, yeah, as long as you don't mind in between bites. Is
I
that
don't
okay?
care as long as you can speak.
Sure, I'll see what I
All
can
right,
do.
Victor, you ready to be a seller?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's set up the scenario for you guys. The house right now, Zillow's showing us that the house is worth 200K. Victor, you gotta move out of state to move to be closer to your mother, who is currently sick.
Gotcha.
You said the ARV is 200K. Is this
Zillow's
a
telling us,
listing or?
Zillow's showing us 200K as the property value.
Okay, and is this the first phone call? Is this follow-up or?
This is you're following up. Your VA reached out to him. Your VA just got that he was interested and that he's moving out of town to be closer to his mother. That's all you got from your VA.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, let me know in my 7 minutes. I'll try to watch both because I'm on my phone. So,
Yeah, we got you. We'll let you know at the time.
okay. Victor, right?
Yeah, what's up, bro?
Hey, man. All right, ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Ring, ring.
Ring, ring.
Wait, am I the buyer or am I the
Yeah,
seller?
yeah.
Who's ringing who here?
I
Yeah,
screwed
you're
up.
calling Victor.
My bad. It's a running back.
Oh, wait, so I'm the buyer, right?
Right. Now that was
Okay. Just checking. Okay, ring, ring.
yes. Hello?
Hey, is this Victor?
It is, man. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Victor, this is Creighton. How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Where I know you from, Creighton?
Hey, actually, my assistant Christine got a hold of you the other day about your property at 123 Main Street. She set an appointment for me to give you a call back right now. Is now a good time still?
Yeah, now's a great time. I remember Christine. She was such a
Oh.
sweetheart.
Yeah, she's awesome. So she was telling me that, and I just want to make sure I have the property address correct. It's 123 Main Street is what she wrote down, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so I have a couple notes here. I'm not, I don't know what happened, but can you kind of fill me in on what's going on? She said you were wanting to get out of the property for moving. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm looking to move pretty soon.
Okay. You say pretty soon?
Yes.
What do you mean by pretty soon?
Like, no, honestly, I'm trying to leave like no more than 30 days. Honestly, I was trying to reclose the house as soon as possible. I know you guys have, I know there's a little bit of period as far as the expansion goes that we have to get through. So like the sooner we can get this process done, the better.
Okay. So if we were able to come to agreement on a price and close and get you your money within 30 to 45 days, that would be okay with you?
Yeah, if the offer's right.
Okay. And can you kind of tell me a little bit where you're planning on going? I know you said that you wanted to get out in 30 days. Where are you headed to?
Moving closer with the family, moving to the south around Houston.
Okay. And do you have a place already picked up?
Yeah, I've been looking at it, still trying to weigh my options out. I'm not too sure yet. It's been hard to get a hold of the property since this whole pandemic been starting.
Yeah. It's interesting times. You move in jobs as well?
No, pretty fine. I work from home, so my job's not really
Oh,
there.
nice. That's awesome. That makes it convenient for you. Okay, so can you kind of tell me a little bit about the existing property? Is it your property? Is it rental? I'm assuming that you're living there. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's my house. I haven't rented it out. Should I?
That's something that we can take a look at. I don't know. Do you have people in the area that you want to screen tenants and deal with collecting rent and renovating anytime they have issues?
Yeah, I'm not really actually to look into that. I was just curious to see how that process worked. Sounds like a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I always tell people that, renting makes sense if you're going to scale, but, when you're doing just one or two things, it takes so much energy and effort to rent out the property if you don't have the right people and stuff in place. So, but yeah, I mean, if that's something that you're interested in, I would love to talk more about that. But it doesn't sound like that's something you're looking to. What's kind of the condition of the property? I think Christine wrote down here that it's a 3-2. Is that correct?
Yes, 3 bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay. And when's the last time you've done any updates to the property?
Oh, I've updated it about 7 months ago, to be exact.
Okay, awesome, man. And what'd you update?
Updated the bathrooms, kitchens. You know, countertops is granite, laminate flooring. You know, the bathroom is pretty up to date. You know, everything looks pretty nice. The roof's not it's not more than a year old, so I didn't take care of that not too long ago. Just minor landscaping on the outside though, but it shouldn't cost too much.
Gotcha. Okay. And then what's got you talking to Christine about the property? Is there a reason why you haven't listed it?
Yeah, I'm actually just trying to get. I have considered listing it, you know, because my house is pretty up to date, you know. But the thing is, I'm trying to get just closer to my mother. She's been under the weather lately, though. I think she might actually have the virus, though. So I just want to make sure
Oh,
she's
shoot, man.
take care of
I'm
her.
so sorry to hear that. Yeah, so you're wanting to get out there soon and kind of be done with the property, it sounds like.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, and that's definitely something, that we've helped out people with. You're saying you're wanting to get your cash in your hand within, 30 to 45 days. So
Right.
that's something that we'll definitely be able to help you out with. Because the property sounds like it's not needing much in renovations. So I'm kind of curious, if we were to come to a price, what would that kind of be for you? What were you thinking?
I mean, you guys kind of reached out to me though, so I thought you guys had like an offer set for.
An offer for the property and its as is condition.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we kind of did a little research around the area, and we're seeing other investors paying. Oh wait, pause real quick. Did we say this was 200?
Yep.
Zillow says 200.
Okay, sorry, I forgot. Usually I have it all wrote down. Okay, back in. So yeah, we're looking in the area, and it looks like other investors in the area are paying around, 1 to 120. Is that something that you'd be comfortable with, Victor?
Yeah, I've had guys reach out to me before, and those conversations didn't really last too long. So if it's the same boat. Like, I don't want to waste your time, Creighton. For real.
No, I appreciate that, and I don't want to waste your time or my time either. So,
Do you? Because I've heard this conversation over and over again. They say they won't waste my time. They won't call me back, or they trash offers, man. Like, I get it,
Yeah.
you trying to make some money on it though, but like, what's 50,000, to 20,000? It's still profit at the end of the day,
Yeah, so unfortunately for us, Victor, that's a really good point. I don't know if anyone's pointed out to you. When we do buy a property, there's a lot of fees that are associated with closing on a property, as far as title and all that stuff. So that's the reason why our price has to be a little bit lower, so that there's some room for us to make a little bit off of it. But if that's something that doesn't work for you, I totally understand. So what kind of price were you wanting to get out of it then? Because obviously you're saying the 100 doesn't work for you.
I checked online and Zillow has my house valued at 200K, so.
Oh, right. Okay. So let's just say this, Victor, if you were to go sell it on Zillow for 200, you're going to pay probably about a 6% for realtor fees, correct? And then usually closing costs is another 3%. And then I don't know, when you bought your house, Victor, did you pay asking price on it?
I actually inherited the house from my pops. So I didn't really deal with that. So I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Okay. No, sorry. So usually when people are buying houses, no one wants to pay, what the sticker price is. Everyone always wants to negotiate and get a discount. So usually after you buy a property, you're going to have to deal with, someone saying, hey, even though you went in and fixed the roof, you did the cabinets, they want you to change the hardware, they want you to update the plumbing, or they're going to want you to do some concessions to fix the property up. And usually we're seeing, anywhere between 3 and 5% that we're having to take off just for that. So with that being said, if you do sell it for your 200 that you're asking for, you're probably walk away in your pocket it's going to be closer to like 150.
Was that the offer you were trying to send to me? 150?
No, I'm just trying to tell you that if you were to take it to market, that's what your walk away would be. Your net cash in your pocket.
Okay, so let's just say I do take an offer from an investor like yourself. Like, what would you give me that would be an incentive to me to not go put it on the market?
Well, yeah, so that's what I was saying, you know, for it to make sense for us, we're going to probably be around that 120 mark.
So if I could probably have the house listed for about 30 days, and I can move out, I could get at 150, but you're telling me that I could get at 120 though. What would be the benefit of the 120 to the 150?
Well, the benefit of us is that we would have the guaranteed funds in your hand in under 30 days. You go to list it, you're going to have to wait for a buyer to come around to the property, and then they're going to have to go get financing, and they're going to do an appraisal, inspection, all that. So when it's all said and done, most likely the best you're going to get is maybe they can close and get you the money in 60 days. But I know you were saying that you want to get back to your to your mom and your family. So this is a way for you to be able to do both.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking to get it out as soon as possible.
Right. So this is a way that we would be able to but it would have to be at the 120 price point. But the nice thing is, you have the guarantee, because sometimes, someone goes to buy a property, everything looks good, they do an inspection, appraisal, and then they walk away from the deal. And now you have to wait for a new buyer to come up, and you go through the process all over again.
I can't afford that time. So how long would this inspection period deal with though? Let's just say I do want to work with you guys.
So yeah, so the way it works with us is, we'd send you over a contract, we'd go through it, make sure everything makes sense for you. We need probably about 10 days max for us to come over, walk the property, make sure, the condition is what you're stating it is. And then at that point.
Yo, good job, Creighton.
Oh,
Seriously, good
sorry,
work.
Normally I would actually give you numbers on everything, but since I was just walking around, I wasn't.
I think we lost you there,
Normally
man.
we'll do the
That was
actual.
great.
Yeah, you're straight.
No, dude, that was a really good job. I mean, how do you feel after that call? We lose to Creighton?
Might already be in the mall.
For real.
That was good stuff, though. He wouldn't really give out a price, really, for a
So
bit.
guys, until Creighton gets back, though, I do want to make note of one thing. Although we all know creative finance and we do like to go to creative finance way, notice that he used cash because cash is still valuable, right? Victor had a timeline. Victor wanted to get back to his family. So that way there's convenience costs, right? If you're able to pay quick, guarantee of closing, that is valuable. A lot of people forget that's a thing, right? When you're listing with the realtor, although you could get a higher purchase price, there's always that chance that the buyer will not qualify. The funding will fall through. You might change your mind. A million different
Mute him really fast, Marlon. Mute him because we hear him. Just mute him.
Oh, me?
Oh, yeah, we just had to mute you, Creighton. Sorry about that, buddy.
Come on, dude. I didn't hear because I was switching off the Wi-Fi, but yeah, so I heard, my takeaway was I heard Victor that he wanted full retail. So usually I think Caroline said it earlier, is disqualify. Like if he wants full retail, then I know it's going to have to be a sub 2. But he kept saying, like you were saying, about his time frame. So I knew that's where I was going to get him at.
So guys, remember, start these conversations off wholesale. Have a wholesale conversation to begin. Figure out where the cash needs to be. Figure out where the numbers need to be. Don't just jump into paying market price, full price for a house, because technically you can. All right.
How often does like a seller would want to leave the house, like would want to leave the house as soon as possible, but at the same time they're asking for retail? How often that scenario happen?
They always want both, don't you? But then you have to paint the picture on what's actual reality, right? Like I want $1 million for my house. Okay, perfect. but you're gonna have to tear down your house and build a mansion for it to be worth $1 million. Is that something you want to do?
Right.
So you just paint the picture. Like I totally, and you never, I think these guys are saying you don't want to disagree with them. You're like, that makes perfect sense. However, this is how that would have to, or this is what would need to happen for that to happen. Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, yes, back to your question, like I'll get people all the time that say that they want, you know, everything. And it's like, okay, well, if you want that, this is what will have to happen. Either you need to wait a long period of time. And if they say, yes, I have all the time in the world, then that's my only play would have been to give you a sub 2 at that point. Say, okay, well, then, you know, what I can do is I can come up to your price, but obviously I need terms. But that wasn't going to work for you probably because you were someone, I mean, I'm assuming someone that's selling their house at 200,000 wants that cash quickly to move somewhere else. So anyway, sorry, I'll stop.
Gotcha.
No, it's perfect. So guys, really do keep in mind, people do pay a convenience factor, right? So they don't want to do the homework. They don't want to go shop around. They don't want to wait. So that's why they're willing to lose or take that quick price. So it's a thing. A lot of people do it. Sometimes they don't even have to be distressed. It's just the fact that, again, they don't want the headache of dealing with selling the home. So if you're making it fast and easy, there's value to be had. So don't assume that someone's not going to want your cash price. And the reason I'm saying it like this is because a lot of times when you all offer cash price, you say, well, you know, you kind of put your cash price out there, but you already primed them by saying you're probably not going to want my number. Don't do that. Just give them the number. Let them decide whether or not they want it. It's like asking someone out on a date, but saying right before you ask them, you're probably not going to want to go out with me, but do you want to go to dinner tonight? Well, now I definitely don't want to go out with you. You have no confidence in your ask. So drop your price with confidence. The way Creighton put it out there was perfect. Okay, we'll probably have to be around 120.
No, that's perfect, Marla. And I actually made that mistake before. When I would make offers, I try to use, I think it's Chris Voss's, right? Where you preface it like, man, you're going to think I'm the worst person in the world. My offer is going to be so terrible. You're going to want to hang up. And that was terrible. People hated it. They're like, just tell me what your price is. Like, don't tell me how I'm going to feel. And I think that's a big thing. People don't want to be told how they're going to feel. So yeah, agree 100%. Don't do that and just have the confidence.
Yep. So something.
And one more, go ahead.
So something where what I do, if we don't want to give a number exactly, but there's plenty of comps, especially cash comps, use the cash comps to your advantage. Just let them know, hey, you know, I'm just looking around the area and, you know, there's a few properties that sold near you for cash. So it's looking like investors are buying in your area around the price range of about $115,000 to about $120,000 for cash.
Yeah.
Right. So now you're anchoring a number without necessarily saying that's your offer. And now you can gauge how they feel about that without making you the bad guy. Cause now it's just the comps. It's not you.
Gotcha.
Good stuff. All right. So Marlon, you have some news for us of what we're going to do next here, or what's your plan?
So Oscar, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So guys, what we want to do now with you all is just do a quick underwriting, because I know a lot of people are still having problems trying to underwrite properties, figure out if a deal's a deal or if it's not a deal. That seems to be something we all get caught up on. So, you know, Oscar has offered to help us out with doing a quick underwrite. That way you can analyze the numbers ultimately and figure out if it's something that you even want to put under contract, or maybe it's something that you renegotiate or walk away from.
And before we jump into that, I'm going to hop off because I've been on Zooms for about 4 hours now. So I got to get going. But I've had a few people asking if they can role play. If you guys did not get to role play today and you would like to role play during the week at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you look up Vicky Morgan in the sub 2 group, she has a bunch of links. You can jump into her role playing. You know, Will and Marlon are hosting the 6 a.m. one, but they have a huge wait list. They only let 15 people into theirs. So Vicky's, you can join us for everybody. You might not be able to role play in it, but you can listen in. But on Will and Marlon's, you definitely can. And we'll try and set up some more of these. But I'm going to get off. Oscar is a GOAT. He knows everything. So just if you guys are going to reach out to Oscar, Please don't waste his time. If you guys are going to reach out to Sal and you're going to ask him for this script that he has, just remember, you know, they're doing, they're not even mentors in here. They're just being kind and they're giving out of the kindness of their heart. So don't just ask, gimme, gimme, gimme. You know, think these are people that have families. This is a Sunday. It's almost 4 o'clock on a Sunday, Eastern Standard Time. So be considerate if you're going to reach out and ask for stuff from people. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks for coming to Role Play. I'm going to be getting off.
Peace out, Caroline. Appreciate you.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Caroline.
We freaking love Caroline, guys. Make sure you guys go give Caroline some love. Seriously, like she pours her heart and soul out into so many people. So make sure you go show her some love on Facebook, on Instagram, and just let her know you appreciate her. But so back to this property. So you know, Oscar, we wanted to go over some underwriting. You know, so we have a property there already for you guys. So I don't know, do you want to be able to share your screen, or how do you want to do this?
I would just you know, just talk to you through it
Awesome.
right now without sharing screens. I think, you know, what I see about this is like role playing is great and everything, but it's really, once you get down to the nitty gritty, and I'm sure Sal understands this too, is that, you know, you need to have the right numbers, right? You need to have, you need to know your exit strategy. Otherwise, you'll just be going in circles, right? So, you know, and you know, us as a wholesaler, us as a flipper, us as investor, every exit strategy and how to underwrite is different, right? So it's very, very important to know even who your buyer is and if the number is going to work for your buyers, right? Like what you have right now in Wisconsin, you probably already have a buyer, right? Or you have a buyer in mind, right? So any deals that you find, you probably are thinking about, well, I'm going to send it to him or her. I'm going to send it to a few people. Well, now, you know, you just reverse engineer it to see that if the deal was going to work for them, right? And that's how you get a lot of confidence when you call seller. Because otherwise, you know, a lot of people, I think the role playing, you know, it boosts confidence, but you know, when you go down to like the real thing, a lot of people forget that, you know, not knowing the numbers could just basically kill the conversation, you know, and you'll just waste like 45 minutes, you just wait 30 minutes without, you know, getting any values out of it.
That's really important. So thank you for saying that, because that's one of the biggest things. You know, a lot of folks are concerned about how to build rapport, but you know, you'll hear Pace say it all the time. Reese has been saying it, so I've been saying it as well. Build rapport through credibility. How do you build credibility? Know your numbers, know the deal, be an actual real estate investor and think like a real estate investor. So run your numbers, and then when you get back on the phone call with them, you know where you have to be. So you're not kind of fumbling through. You now have a very strong line in the sand, and you know if you're on one side, you're in the good. If you're on the other side, you're in the bad. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm. And for me, you know, I love underwriting deals first, and I love helping people underwrite deals because it helps me to, you know, to get all these numbers in my head. So now, you know, whenever I talk to sellers, I can come up with different exit strategies based on the conversation, because I've encountered, you know, same thing as you when you role play, right? You when you encounter something, you'll be like, oh, okay, I've encountered this before. Same thing when you do a lot of underwriting. Oh, I've encountered this before. Now we can move this on without, oh, let me get back to my partner. Let me get back to my, you know, because sometimes you need to do that. But most times if it's just between offering a sub 2 and a seller finance, let's say, right? That should be something that, you know, you should be able to switch back and forth, you know, kind of quick, you know, eventually, right? And the only thing that when you need a quote unquote partner, let me talk to my partner and everything, is for you to just finalize to make sure that it's the numbers is right. And then you call them back in like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, not like a day later, or not wait for like, you know, your real partner, or wait till like, oh my God, now I need to underwrite this deal. You know, so.
Love it. I love it. So yeah, let's run through this deal that we got over here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this first, right? What is the exit strategy? Like in any deals, what is your exit strategy? And I think knowing you're probably going to wholesale this, right?
Yeah. So actually with this one, the exit strategy, we're thinking of doing a wrap on this one. So
Okay.
actually wrapping it with an end buyer and doing a lease option. So wrapping it around with the lease option.
Okay. So, you know, Sal can also chime in because that's his, you know, that's his business right there a lot, right? Lease option and probably wraps too. Okay. So number one is when you're trying to do a wrap or lease options, right? the number one thing that people forget is, does it cash flow? Is it, what's the PITI, right? They would ask different questions about, they would focus on, the condition of the property, and they would focus on everything else. But then at the end of the day, they forgot to ask about the PITI, right? And that's something that you need to ask first also, like one of the first things you need to ask, right? That's how do you qualify your sellers too, once you build credibility and once you know what's going on, right? If you can't wholesale it, if you know that at the middle of the conversation that you're going to be doing lease option or wrap or assigning the subject to, well, where's the PITI? And that could cut your time from 45 minutes to like 20 minutes, right? After you build credibility, right? So, because once you know that it doesn't cash flow, then, either you come up with a different strategy, or, that it's not a deal. It's not a creative financing deal, right? It's because, 10 conversation and you spend 30 minutes, that's like 300 minutes.
Sure.
So for me, I try to, get that real quick, right?
So with this property, it's owned free and clear. The seller is willing to finance the property. He's looking for 195,000. He's looking for 10% down.
Okay.
And he's looking at 5% interest.
Okay.
And he's open right now to hold the note for 5 years.
Okay. And where are you in the negotiation? Are you kind of finalizing? Do you think, I mean, obviously you talk to the seller right now, so the underwriting is slightly different. The underwriting right now is just to confirm your numbers is right? Because, well, let's just say, how did you, well, first of all, how did you come up with this number? Did the seller mention these numbers to you, or is it something that you mentioned to the seller and you kind of in the between negotiation?
This was seller mentioned the numbers.
Okay.
So he brought the numbers up.
Okay.
And so now I'm going to go back to him and negotiate. That property is vacant. He's out of state. So I have someone going to make sure that the property is in tip-top condition. And as long as it's in tip-top condition, then we could come back and, we could keep his purchase price potentially and just alter and change things a bit. Really looking to change that interest rate and change the down payment.
Okay. So, I mean, there's a couple things here, right? Number one is the purchase price, right? We're talking about the purchase price, and we're talking about the principal and interest, because obviously it's seller financing, right? So that's the important thing. And obviously tax and insurance too. But I separate that because, with seller financing, you have to talk about the principal and interest. The tax and insurance basically, you can take it away from the seller and say, we'll take care of that, right? So it's just basically principal interest, and you're going to wrap it. So meaning the tax and insurance is going to be passed down to the wrap buyer anyway. So you're just talking about the principal interest. And even with that, if let's say you accept the 5% offer, then you're talking about, adding points to it when you find a wrap buyer, right? So.
Right.
If wrap is your option. So there's two options there, right? The lease option or the wrap buyer, right? The lease options, definitely you can just say, okay, I just need, 20% down or something, 15% or 20% down, right? At that point, if it's 195, you're asking someone at 25,000 or 30,000, right? 10% is going to be paying off that 10%, and the rest, they're just basically paying the rent until the buyout options, right? So if it's a wrap buyer, you need to look at what interest rate is available, or it's reasonable enough based on the monthly payment. Have you calculated what the monthly payment is based on this?
Yeah, so when I threw it in, it came up to about 987, I believe. Let me just look back one more time.
What's the rental average around the area?
Rental average, you could rent for 1,400.
1,400. Okay. So with rep buyers or lease options, you can definitely get a slightly higher rent. Right. So I've seen about, probably adding about $100, but even $150 above market rent, assuming that you find the right buyer. Right. That's for lease option.
Right.
Right. So, but if you're talking about rep buyer, then definitely it comes down to the interest, right? So you have to kind of reverse engineer. If you're asking about, $1,600, how much interest is that? right? So now let's talk about the balloon, right? Do you feel like the 5-year balloon is okay with this?
5 years is kind of tight. That area is appreciating right now. So that area, it's a nicer area in Wisconsin. It's appreciating. I talked to a buddy of mine up there in the area. It's appreciating at about 2%, give or take, each year. So the 5 year is still tight. I'd rather push it out a little bit further. Originally he said 2, and I said that absolutely wouldn't work. Like that was just within our initial conversation that 2 wouldn't work. So he came up to 5. So I'm going to also see if I could push the balloon a little further out, or at least allow for a renegotiation at the 5-year mark.
Okay. And so before we go further, we know that there's a potential cash flow, right? So so that one works for creative financing. What about the ARV? I know you haven't seen the condition of the house, right? You said okay. So but is there a lot of equity in the property right now based on the purchase price, or is that because of the seller financing you're not expecting?
There's no equity at this purchase price. So the 195 is the ARV. So he's asking, he knows his number there, so he's asking pretty much full retail entirely.
Okay. So I would be careful with the 5-year balloon then, if there's not a lot of equity in there. I would try to stretch it out to 7 years, or even 10 years, and try to see where he goes with that. And then another thing is with the 5%, is he expecting a 30-year amortization with the 5-year balloon or 7-year balloon, or is he expecting some other amortization rate?
So it's going to be on the 30-year amortization.
Okay. So 5%, 30-year amortization. So at least, he's already understanding about the 30-year amortization, right? So I would also try to negotiate, one monthly payment instead of the principal and interest. Right, especially you can combine this, and I've done this before. You can combine the negotiation with saying, like what Pace says also. Instead of having to worry about principal and interest amortized, it would be, how much down payment or how much interest do you want to make, and we would just put that as part of the entire loan, right? And there would be one monthly payment, right? For 30 years, still with 7 years or 10 years amortization, 7 to 10 years balloon.
So you're saying take the entire interest that he's looking for and just put it on, tack it on as purchase price, increase monthly, and then that way every payment made is towards principal.
Yep. So yeah. So it depends on where he is at right now. It seems like what you're saying is you basically are, the way I see it right now is you probably be able to negotiate 2 things here. You can negotiate the interest rate. The interest rate and the balloon is one package that you can negotiate. So try not to separate those 2 things, because once you're able to talk it out as if you're talking about, removing the interest and then adding the advantage of extending the balloon to have him say, okay, so I'm getting more interest, right? With this one big payment instead of doing this amortization, right? And then the next thing you can also, negotiate on the down payment, right? Instead of 10%, you can make it that it's because now, you're saying that, you're going to put the interest as part of the loan. You can kind of take away that notion of the down payment, the percentage of the down payment. So now you can say, I'm going to give you $10,000, and then the rest, we're going to do seller financing with this monthly payment and 7 to 10 year balloon, 7 or 10 year balloon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that works.
Right. And then when you try to negotiate, I always do the 10-year first. Right. Well, I always try to remove the balloon, but it seems like you're talking with a savvy investor.
Yes.
So I know with a lot of seller financing, I'm always stuck to a balloon.
And
Okay?
he definitely likes the idea of interest because his statement was, well, if I'm going to be the bank, I want to get interest.
Mhm.
And I said, well, because he asked, well, I was like, well, what would you do for me on interest? Where can you put me on interest? I said, well, if anything, we're going to look to match what's going on with the banks, or else we either want to beat the banks or match the banks.
Mhm.
He said, well, I'm looking for 5% interest.
Mhm.
So I definitely want to come back and kind of nip that in the butt and kind of break that conversation right there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So this, I think it's still a decent deal at this point, because it seems like you can charge higher rent, from the PITI that I heard from you, right? Assuming that you already done your tax and insurance, right?
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. The tax and insurance up there aren't so bad. So that's the only reason. So it wouldn't be major cash flow, but it would be something, as long as you get the right right buyer in there, then there's a potential. It's just going to be a little bit of work to go find that buyer. The biggest thing is just going to be that down payment, getting that down payment down. That way we're able to collect a fee up front, because if the down payment's staying where it's at with the 10% on that purchase price, then that's still a pretty hefty down payment, which people could pay it, but then it's just not a spread for an investor to really collect anything on the upfront.
Right. And that's why I said it seems like, with this type of investor, the way you explain it, they always get stuck with the percentage, right? That's why I'm trying to, you have to come up with a pitch to remove this whole notion about percentage, and make sure that he understand that, even though the percentage are taken away, at the end of the day, it's actually getting similar, or if not a little bit more, right, by extending the balloon and making it just a dollar number, right? So yeah.
And he's getting more, and just some reiterating, just for folks watching and also for clarity, he's getting more because we're tacking onto a higher purchase price potential, and because we'd be selling him off or buying him out sooner than the entire 30 years, he now is collecting more money at that point of the buyout versus losing out on the extra interest he would have occurred over the additional 20 years.
Yeah, for example, like the way I see my spreadsheet here, if you can have him at let's say he wants 5%, right? So what's 195 times 5%?
195. Actually, so when I ran it with the down payment included. So I took the down payment off, and so I ran the mortgage at 175,500.
Okay. So so you're already putting that 10% down payment.
Right. So 175,500 with 5% interest. That's throwing us at a monthly payment of 942.
Okay. So I would try to say, because like I just ran 195 times 5%, and it comes up to be like almost 10,000. Right. So, I would actually try to navigate it so that, or negotiate it to that your down payment is actually $10,000, right, instead of 10%. But your so that your loan amount is, your original loan amount is actually still 195,000 with $10,000 down payment, which is part of that interest payment there too.
Right.
So your loan is 185, right? And then your PITI, well, your PNI your PITI should be no more than $1,000.
Yeah.
That would be a decent deal based on your rental estimate right there.
Right. And hopefully you guys understand why the TI would be lower than $1,000 now at that point, because at the 195 without the interest, then we now are just let's see, so 195 divided by 360. We're still going to put it on a 30-year term. So we're looking at now payment drop down to $541.66, and then tacking on the interest and tacking on the insurance. Just for quick numbers, let's say that's an additional $200 right there. So now we're looking at $740 of a monthly payment going to the seller, and each payment is tacking down the principal. So now even if we have to pay him out at 7 years or 10 years, we're going to reduce the amount we owe, so we will be in a better position to cash him out, versus on an interest amortized schedule, we're not paying any of that principal for the first 10, 12, 15 years. We're not really touching the principal.
Right. Yep. Cool.
Awesome. So does anyone have any questions about that? Anyone have any questions about like kind of the thought process, the way the numbers were working, the way we're trying to structure? See, Sergio said pre-build the interest on the purchase price.
Mhm.
Ivan said, you guys are great. Thanks for having this. Awesome. Thank you, Ivan. Let's go into the Facebook group real quick, see if anyone's posting anything inside there. And it's really good that you guys start to understand. It really is important to know your numbers. It helps a lot. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Makes a big
Creighton got a question, by the way.
Oh yeah, Creighton.
Hey, Oscar, awesome breakdown. Hey, I was gonna ask you, have you had much success when you're doing talking about their monthly or their initial down payment to get that down at all? Because I'm the same, man. I've been running. Everyone wants, some skin in the game.
Mhm.
So I'm getting people wanting, that 10% down. And for me to allocate my funds at 10% isn't an amazing deal. It's not terrible, but
Mhm.
anyway, I was just curious if you've had any luck getting people below a 10% down payment and any tips and tricks on how you're getting that.
Yeah, so I've had the conversation, like I have an ongoing conversation now for a seller financing, where I was able to remove that 10% mindset, right? Because that's the thing, like, it's very typical. They're always, when they say there's a bank, when they think about a bank, they always think about percentage also, right? So we're trying to shift that mindset so that the best way is to present them as the better numbers. So to answer your question, Creighton, I'm able to put down less down payment in terms of the not percentage but the money, but I'm giving him more like higher loan amount, right? So that's what
Yeah, so you're just paying more. So instead of 195,
right,
you can say, hey, would you be okay with me paying, 210 in lieu of putting that 10% down?
exactly right. And that's
And
why
they're willing to, because I feel like for me in the past, it's just about building credibility. Like
Mhm.
that 10% that they want down is because they don't know you from Bob, and
Right.
they're just trying to protect their asset. So I feel like what you were saying is, after having a conversation with them so many times, then you can start to modify that. But if you try to do that on the very first phone call, no one's going to be very receptive to it, I guess is what I'm trying to allude at.
No, you're correct. My first conversation is always to see if they open up to seller financing at all, right? That's it. If they're, and then with Marlon, the investor is actually the one that gives him all these terms, right? Which is great because that means that he's actually open and he's thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So now you just have to go back and say, hey, 10% is pretty hard, a little hard for us investors to put in because, obviously we want to put more money into different deals, right? But here's what I come up with, and let me know what you think about this, right? And I would start saying, I can give you actually more money than what you just said, which is, if he said 195,000, I can actually give you, let's say $5,000 more if I can reduce that down payment down a little bit lower. So basically you're saying, like, this is what I said, I'm going to increase your loan by 5,000, but I'm going to reduce my down payment by 5,000.
But this isn't the first phone call. This is
no. This is always on my second. Yeah, this is where I'm always like at my end of the call would be, okay, let me, I don't want to do any mistake because I want to get in front of my spreadsheet. I want to give an hour to think about this with my team, and then I'll call you back in an hour, or I'll call you back tomorrow first thing.
Okay. So your first initial phone call is just gathering information. What would make them happy?
Mhm.
You're not upsetting them by saying, hey, this is more realistic. You might be, swaying them a little bit, like, wow, that's pretty intense. Would you be okay with the 10% down if they were maybe throwing out 20?
Yeah.
Just to see how much movement you can get, but you're not actually giving them any value until you're doing that follow-up phone call.
And most what I would say is like, well, how flexible are you with the numbers?
Yeah, I love
Right?
that.
And they would
term.
say, well, we'll see. I mean, let me. Usually, what they say now, this is after credibility, right? What they're gonna say is, well, let me know what you come up with. And I was like, well, great. I'll give me half an hour, give me 45 minutes to make sure that everything checks out. And especially with Marlon, he can say, well, give me 1 day or 24 hours or 48 hours until I can see the house to make sure that what the condition of the house and everything, because that also affects on how much investment we need to put in for the rehab amount. Right. So
Yeah,
that would
great stuff.
they would give you an option saying, oh, okay, well, it looks like we have to spend $10,000 more. If that's the case, it's fine, but I cannot put that 10,000 as your down payment. But what happened if we just say go into the middle, say I'll increase your this purchase price by $5,000, and I'll decrease my down payment by 5,000 so that I have some money to rehab this house. So because obviously we like to minimize our entry point, right? I mean, you're talking to an investor, so I always say that once I talk to investor, I always mention all these technical terms that I usually talk to people, right? I mean, we want to decrease our entry point to this to this house because of rehab, but I know the numbers still work. So it's just up to you if you want to get more money in the long run, or if you do need something short term or right now. That's how I said it before.
I like that a lot. Really using the terminology as well to build credibility.
Right. Yeah.
I have one quick question. Would you ever get into a situation where, let's say, the seller wants to increase the purchase price, is okay with increasing the purchase price to, let's say, like 210, like Creighton said, right, on the 0% interest, and he's willing to give you a 10-year term, and you can potentially sell it on the back end for, let's say, 205, but with interest? Would you get into a situation like that where the purchase price that you're selling it to on the back end is lower but has interest attached to it?
Oh, for a wrap?
Yeah.
I mean, technically I haven't done a wrap before, but from what I know is that usually for a wrap buyer, you wanna be formal and you wanna be having an interest rate instead of doing quote unquote seller financing. So it's just for your protection, and because now you're kind of like talking with a homestead buyer.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also can be contingent on, and Oscar probably has it on his spreadsheet. I mean, to do the numbers. If you're buying it at 210 from your person, and then you're going to wrap it at 205 with 5 to 10% interest. Do the numbers work? I don't know if that was your actual question.
At the end of the day, like I said, like the Marlon needs to know that after all this computation or the mathematics, the PITI still works, right? And when you wrap it, your new principal and interest needs to be whatever you want, with the rate that you're charging.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I imagine as long as essentially what I'm looking for is as long as whenever the person comes to buy me out, whenever my wrap buyer looks to buy me out of the original loan, as long as my original loan can be satisfied, then the numbers make sense. Just make the numbers work at that point in time.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same thing for Oscar. I always remember that, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. So.
Yep.
I like that one.
So Will, did you want Sergio had a question inside there? Sergio?
Oh yeah, Sergio. Like I saw it was a question regarding like if the investor's savvy and then they start calculating the risk. I think Sal, like if you remember, I had a situation that you talked to one of my sellers you helped me out with, and he was doing that right on the phone. How did you handle that one? Do you remember?
You talking about the North Carolina guy?
Yeah. He was like he labeled himself as an old Jewish car salesman. That's what he told you on the phone. He started calculating interest. He's taking some like little seconds of like silence. He was like talking to himself on his calculator, and then Sal noticed it. And then I kind of want to give away. I kind of just want to let you, tell you what you did.
A lot of times I don't bring up interest, down payments, or any of that. A lot of us like to mention that. So what interest are you looking for? Or what down payment are you looking for? I go for 0-0. So I don't bring it up. I asked them, would you consider taking payments? Depends if it's a wholesale or sub two. If it's if I'm going for sub two, would you consider taking payments? Owner financing, would you consider taking payments? Okay, great. What is a comfortable payment for you? I want $1,000. Great. If I know I can get 1,300 rent and this guy wants $1,000, that's a deal for me. 300 cash flow. I set it up as owner financing, $1,000 principal pay down. I don't worry about interest. If he says, well, what's the interest? I'm gonna say, well, what do you mean interest? I play dumb. What do you mean interest? So talking about your guy, he was somewhat of an investor and he was talking about, oh yeah, I can do some kind of owner financing. What's the interest? And then I said, well, do you really want to pay interest, taxes on interest? What if I can give you a little bit more for your property and subtract the interest, which we don't need to worry about, makes things easier, and you'll actually get more for your property. It's the same as if you were to get interest. And he said, yeah. So I try to avoid interest as much as possible. I have not done a wrap either, but Marlon, when you were saying, can you buy it for 210 and then sell it for 205? That's kind of contradicting. Where's your profit? You're already negative
Selling it for
5,000.
205 if I'm putting interest on the property, and then having them potentially, what I would do is look to say, like, all right, at what point would it now break even after
It's
principal?
got a long
And then-
time, brother.
Well, if my payments to the seller are principal only, and the person's paying me with interest,
Sure.
then it'd probably be a little bit closer. Probably I'm assuming like 5-6 year mark.
Yeah, definitely.
Setting up
As long as absolutely, as long as it's not short term, as long as you try to stretch that out as long as possible, because you'll see it start to be a big difference later on. Absolutely.
Right, and then if anything, set like a early payment penalty or something like that, or like something like where if they pay before a certain time, then they do that, or we do each year that they don't buy out on the option, then the price goes up another 1%.
Sure. But to answer yours, Will, yeah, I tried not to. I never talk about interest, never talk about down payment. And if they do, they say, I want 20% down. And I said, well, let me, don't mind me. I'm doing my numbers right now. And typically, if we pay full price, we don't give a big down payment as that. So what's more important, a big down payment or full price? They say, well, I want full price. Well, if you want full price, then I can't give a big down payment. But if you want a big down payment, I'm going to have to get a discount off of your asking price. So you put it back in their court, and they're like, well, okay, it's more important for me to get, my asking price. But I still want a down payment. Okay, well, I need a more reasonable down payment. And they say, well, I can do 10% with interest. And then I start going back into, well, kind of like what Oscar said, well, what if I can give you 5% down payment and maybe give you, a couple thousand more on your purchase price. So I upped his purchase price, but I also lowered it down. So it's all about negotiating until I actually come to those numbers. And guess what? We don't get them all. We don't get them all. There's a lot. Right? 40 leads to get a deal. So 20 of those leads are talking about interest and this and what makes sense, and sometimes it don't. But it's about finding the pain, and these are those closing, those questions, those subliminal questions. What's more important? Do you need the money now? Isn't it more important to get your full price offer? Yeah. Could you wait for time? A little bit of time to get that. And what about interest? Is it more important? Is it more important to get interest or more important to get your price?
Okay,
So those are the closing questions that you could ask them. Did you hear that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate that, man. I mean, I'm hoping Sergio got that too.
Awesome. No, like good stuff. That's really good stuff. So it's and guys, like using those questions, please stop or not stop, but don't be afraid to lose a deal, right? Because technically you're not losing a deal. You can't lose what you never had, right? So it's only a deal if the numbers line up, if the numbers make sense. So yes, talking to sellers is step one. You do need to be able to talk to sellers. You do need to be able to have a fluid conversation, but then you also need to be able to close it. If you're at the point right now where you can't close it, but you've gotten the conversation far along, reach out to different people in your circle. If you're in the sub 2 mentorship, reach out to different people. Reach out to Sal, reach out to Oscar, reach out to Will, reach out to Creighton, reach out to myself, reach out to Caroline, reach out to Reese. All right, there's a ton of different people that will help you out, that will get that closing, that will get that deal over the finish line. All right. But guys, seriously, this has been insane. We appreciate everyone that jumped in here this Sunday. It's been really cool. You guys are spending your Sunday afternoons getting better at this stuff. Please practice underwriting your deals. Even if it doesn't turn into anything, do mock situations for yourself just to get used to working the numbers, right? Like Caroline said before, if you need help, reach out to these people. But if you're going to reach out to someone like Sal, someone like Oscar, someone like Creighton, please make sure you have an actual deal ready. Do not just reach out to them and bother them with hypotheticals that don't exist yet, and you're asking questions that may never come up. Please get yourself into a situation and then come and say, hey, this is where we're at. This is where I'm lost. This is the roadblock in front of me. Get to that point first. But, you know, again, thank you guys so much for coming out. If you're interested in doing more role play, like Caroline said, Vicky runs a big group on the mornings at 7 a.m., 7 to 8. If you guys are interested in coming and working with Will and I, we do ours at 6 a.m. We have a cap at 15 people. I think right now we only have, I believe we have 1 seat left, 1 or 2 seats left, and that's it. We're capped off for the rest of the month. We want to keep it small. That way you are guaranteed to get some talk time. We don't want flies on the wall. And if you guys haven't learned about like the people that you're listening to and learning from yet, I've interviewed them. I have them on the podcast. So I'm going to drop that link here inside the chat. Like, go listen to Oscar, go listen to Reese. We're definitely going to work on getting Sal on that podcast as well, and just diving in deep, learning these people's stories. But appreciate you guys all for coming out. And let's see, anything in the comments before we jump off of this? Don't be afraid. Yo, Creighton just dropped some real gems right here. He said, guys, do not be afraid to ask questions to find out if it's a deal. If you're afraid that asking the questions that you need to ask, if you're afraid to ask those questions because you think you're going to scare the seller off, guess what? It was never a deal to begin with. All right. If someone's really looking to sell, if someone really wants to sell their house, they are going to answer the questions. All right. So guys, on that note, we're going to log off for the evening unless anyone has a final question. Gary's saying they have one on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. So they're doing a, so if you guys are interested in jumping into Gary's role play, they're going to have one on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard. All right. And we're wrapping it up.
All right.